All right. Hello, everybody. Let's give this a minute to fully make sure we're all the way there as I do some quick double checking. I've got my good friend, Mr. Eric Noden, here on the live stream this morning. Good morning to you. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Today's a good day. I was just telling you before we logged on, like, it's amazing how much a difference a day. If you're having a terrible day, everybody, just give it a day.
Right.
I want to say thanks for jumping on this live stream this morning. We're talking about Billy Boy Arnold. I've got a
Yeah.
class that is coming up, and I'll put the information in the chat right now, actually, where folks can learn more and sign up for that. And you reminded me of something extremely important the other day, which is that you not only produced but played on this wonderful CD with Billy Boy back in 2012. Was it recorded or 13?
It was released in 2012, but I think we recorded it in 2011, actually. Yeah.
and it's wonderful. It's this songs of Big Bill Broonzy and
It's Billy Boy Arnold sings Big Bill Broonzy,
sings
I
big. That's
believe
the
is
title.
the
Sings.
title
Thanks
of
for
it.
the
Yeah.
correction. Yeah,
Yeah.
sings
Yeah.
Big Bill Broonzy, and it's well. First of all, I'm a huge Big Bill Broonzy fan, so I had seen it. I just forgot, man. If I'm being honest. And when you reminded me, I was like, well, of course I'm going to incorporate some of that on this class that I'm teaching tomorrow, where I'm going to cover various songs throughout his evolution as an artist, all the way back from the early '50s up to current. And man, I want to spend some time just talk to you a little bit about how that came about, your experiences with Billy Boy. But let's back up for a second. How did you guys meet? How did you actually connect with Billy Boy Arnold?
Well, I originally connected with Billy Boy when we did a show. We actually did a tribute to Big Bill Broonzy concert at the Old Town School of Folk Music, and that happened
Aha.
around 1997 or so. I kind of put together a few of these blues concerts at the Old Town School of Folk Music way back then, and so I managed to get. Yeah, Billy Boy said he would do this, do this performance, and so that was the first time that I met him. Got to, rehearse with him a few times. He came over to my place in Chicago, and we hung out and worked up some tunes, and so that was kind of how this whole project started. And there was actually a board recording that kind of was made of this concert that Billy Boy liked a lot, but it wasn't really good enough to make it to release it. But that was really the origins of that whole project.
Why Big Bill Broonzy? What was the who was that purely your idea, or was that something that also came from Billy Boy?
Actually, that kind of came from the Old Town School of Folk Music because the Old Town School of Folk Music had a relationship with Big Bill Broonzy, one of the founders of it. I think it was Frank Hamilton, who was kind of one of the first teachers of the Old Town School. Invited Big Bill Broonzy to come when they opened it on the opening night, and he came and he taught people some of his licks and
Wow.
stuff. So that was kind of we had done they had done some Big Bill Broonzy tribute shows before, and Billy Boy's name came up because he's a real not only great Chicago bluesmen, and as you and I have talked about, maybe not recognized or known as much as some of the other guys. Maybe a little bit under appreciated. But the
Yes.
thing about Billy Boy is he's a real historian about of the music, and he originally wanted to get Big Bill Broonzy to play on his one of his early recordings, and he actually asked him, and Big Bill kind of said, "Nah, my style's too old. Get somebody else or something like that." So he had met Big Bill a few times
Yeah.
in person. He was a big fan. When he was a kid, he would buy Big Bill Broonzy's records, the 78s and stuff, and so he was familiar
Okay.
with his music.
That's great background. That makes sense. If so, again, Billy Boy sings Big Bill Broonzy. I don't want to mess the title up again
Yes,
of this.
yes.
And And you guys need to check it out. I will also put that in the comments after this live stream. A link where you can catch it. It's on YouTube. You can find the album. You can find it on your streaming platforms, and you really need to listen to it because there was nothing else recorded that was like this. So it's a really good one to check out. Broken down. You said Billy Flynn is on it. He plays some guitar, but you're backing up all that acoustic guitar, which sounds killer on the album. And there's other instrumentation, if I recall, as well. Is it
There's
mandolin or some other?
upright bass. We used upright bass for the bass. Had
That's right.
Bo Sample played on the bass. Great bass player. My friend Rick Sherry
Okay.
played washboard on it. So it was
Washboard.
very like I didn't want like a drum set. I wanted it to be a pure
Yep.
acoustic recording, and it was just such a cool opportunity mainly just to get to hang out with and work with a Chicago blues legend like Billy
Well,
Boy.
that's the thing I think that I learned over the last like 48 hours of digging. I was telling you that I was going deep into the discography of Billy Boy. And if you look, I want to say 52 was the beginning of his career, 1952. And he still is alive and kicking. He's about to be 90 years old. And I didn't realize how many people he's recorded with. I didn't realize if you really dig deep and start looking at all the names, he should be up there in the same vein as other players that we talk about a lot. His all-time biggest influence was Sonny Boy One, and he tells a great story. And I'll also try to remember to link this as well in something called, I think, Master Class, where he's teaching a little, but he's also talking about his influences in history, music history, and he tells a wonderful story. I won't go into detail. You guys can watch it, but basically he's talking about how he met and what it took to meet Sonny Boy and what he said to him when he heard him play and all this. But that was his hero. But he
Yeah.
also mentioned something that I caught that was really cool. He gives a nod to Carrie Bell. Now, I find this fascinating because, let's see if I can find it. There's a song that I'm going to talk about from Boogie and Shuffle. Boogie and Shuffle came out in 2001, this album, and there's a song called Greenville I'm going to talk about. But when you listen to this album and when you listen to some of the Alligator releases in the early and mid 90s, what you hear is, I hear, Carrie Bell influence. Very much so, like to the point of going, how did I miss this? Like, I've heard some of this music, but so if you're into Carrie Bell, if you don't know who Carrie Bell is, go find Carrie Bell and listen to him, another great Chicago player.
Yeah.
But know that he gave him a pretty significant nod. Say, it's pretty cool. It was very quick, but it was like, gave him props. And now that I'm putting all this together, it's like really interesting to see his progression. Maybe we should do a song here. You talked about doing a Big Bill Brunsey song. Would now be a good time to maybe entertain the people that are tuning in and let them hear one of the songs that is on the sea. Obviously, we won't hear Billy Boy singing or playing harp to it, but
That's
would
right.
you like to
That's
do
right.
that?
Let's do that. So this is a tune. So when I first met Billy Boy, we were talking about back in 90, probably 96, 97, 1996, 1997. He came over to my apartment at the time so that we could rehearse, which I was just beyond excited. Billy Boy Arnold's coming over to my apartment to rehearse. It's like, is this real? And so he shows up, and Billy Boy's just he's very professional about things. You know what I mean? He doesn't like goof around or anything. He's like, let's get down to it. And we started playing the tunes, and one of the tunes, of course, one of the tunes that's associated with Big Bill Brunsey is a Key to the Highway tune, but it was originally recorded by a somewhat obscure harmonica player from Chicago named Jazz Gillum. So the original hit of Key to the Highway was a jukebox hit, I want to say in early 1940s, and it was a Jazz Gillum on the recording, and Big Bill Brunsey was playing the guitar part. So I'd been playing this tune for quite a while. I had my own version of it. I thought it was pretty cool. But
Nice.
Billy Boy heard me play it, and he's like, nope. He's like, that ain't it. He's like, you got to figure it out exactly what is on this album from 1940, Jazz Gillum and Big Bill Brunsey, this version of it, And so then I went
Yeah.
and studied that. And it was there's some tricky and interesting stuff that Big Bill does. But this just shows you what an astute, sort of studier of the music Billy Boy,
Yes.
is, it's just really incredible. So yeah, maybe I'll play a bit of it, play it hopefully the right way. If Billy Boy is, tuning in, he'll let me know, I'm sure.
Well, that would be cool if you
If it's
were.
not right. But maybe you want to play a couple breaks in this, maybe a couple of break or something
Sure.
like that.
I
We'll
can try
pass it
that.
back and forth. I'll stop playing because we have latency problems with the interwebs. But so yeah, maybe play a couple times through. I'll give you a couple times. Here we go. Key to the Highway. So Big Bill Brunzi, a guy named Charles Segar actually originally recorded this tune, Key to the Highway, and he had the words to it, but it was a 12-bar blues. And then Big Bill Brunzi took it, I believe, and turned it into an 8-bar blues and changed the melody. So it's kind of a pretty convoluted song in terms of who wrote it and stuff. But, that's the blues for you.
Yeah.
I got the key to the highway. I'm built out and bound to go. Gonna leave here running. Walking's much too slow. I'm going back to the border where I'm better known. You don't do nothing here now, baby. I'm a good man from your home. I got the key to the highway. Put on my walking shoes. When I walk this old highway, get these walking blues. Play something, man. So long, so long. I must say goodbye. I'm gonna walk this old highway till the day I die. When the moon peeps over the mountain, I'll be on my way. I'm gonna walk this old highway till the break of day. Yeah.
I think I might have exceeded the 8-bar stretch. I don't know what I did. Eight
Oh, that was
bars,
good.
9
That's what I
bars.
was hoping he would do, like 2 times through 16.
No, no,
bars.
no. I mean, in each revolution.
Oh, really?
No, I don't know. I don't know. It's fun to do that though. It forces you to listen. What's interesting is that I did a little. Doesn't matter, but I'll put it in the video description as well. There's a clip of me doing a version of this song with somebody who lives in a different country, and we pieced it together. We did it separately and like put it together as one video. It doesn't matter, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was killer, man. I love the way you approach
fun.
it. I really like that cool little fast kind of brrr vamp thing. It was either on the 4 maybe or something where
Yep, that's something that Brunsey will do is roll that. He'll roll those
that's
chords.
so cool.
Some of the stuff I got from different versions. Not if I was playing with Billy Boy, I'd keep it more. But there was some interesting stuff, especially these riffs that are pretty difficult to play. This and it has this interesting chord, and then it has a turnaround that never goes to the 5 chord, which almost nobody does that.
So it's
there's
implied.
interesting, just little details. Tiny little details make a big difference, and especially to someone with an ear like Billy Boy Arnold.
Yeah, that's cool. I've always been a big fan of paying attention to long 5s, or no 5, or just no turnaround. Like these modified versions of the way because the old stuff I prefer with no turnaround. A lot of the really old stuff didn't have like the turnaround. It just stayed it just kept going through.
Right.
It was just
it
on the
sounds
one.
more low down. It's kind of a little more. I think the turnaround sounds a little more stereo.
Yeah.
Typical. And that was actually something that we spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time on that recording because a lot of the songs are kind of mid-tempo blues. There's a lot of mid-tempo blues on that album. And so to distinguish one tune from another, I really spent a lot of time on like, what was the turnaround? Does it, go 5/4 and then do a typical descending thing? Or does it do more of like, like on this tune, maybe just a pentatonic, that kind of turnaround.
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
that kind, it makes a difference. And you can kind of, as a player, you can get in your habits and just do it one way all the time. But I think it makes it a lot more interesting, to
harp players. You got to
up.
listen to what Eric's laying down. He plays harp too. And so like this information, this guitar knowledge and general knowledge in the blues is really applicable to what we do as harp players. We're talking about Billy Boy Arnold Sings Big Bill Brunsey, which is the album that Eric produced and played on with Billy Boy Arnold in 2011, recorded and released, I think, 2012. Yeah. It's wonderful. Yeah. This correlates to a class I'm doing tomorrow on Billy Boy Arnold, where I will be grabbing too many songs. The class will definitely go 90 minutes. It'll be a longer kind of class, but we'll take our time on a few of them. I want to point out one of the songs just to get y'all excited. There's one on, I want to say it was the first Alligator release in 93, but it could be wrong that it was the other one, but it's from, it's from Where I Belong. I think that's 93. And same one that had I Wish You Would, the redo of I Wish You Would. Shake Your Hips. So this comes from Slim Harpo. It's the same song as Hip Shake. Go listen to it, everybody. If you ask me, like especially with this up-tempo stuff that he recorded, more of the Alligator vibe as far as the sound also. It has that classic, whatever you want to call it, Alligator sound that tends to go with the albums they release. But it's this song is a high-energy song, and the harp playing on it is just phenomenal. I feel like Billy Boy really cut loose on that one and played the crap out of that solo. And that repeating, we're going to learn it. We're going to go through some of these lines. Harp players are going to get to learn. We're going to go through like. Trying to mute it a little because that's a sharp high key here. It's on a D harp. Oh, the D is falling off, Eric. So those kind of lines, and one of the thematic things, Eric, I was going to talk with the harp players about is you'll notice that not all of them, but a lot of these songs, like I Wish You Would, Rockin' Idas, Shake Your Hips, there's others that are just not coming to me right now, that have I'm a Man with Bo Diddley. The songs that have recurring thematic kind of like motifs that run throughout, and little licks that you just keep playing and you come back to. Collect as many of these as you can, because eventually, besides getting to play the songs, hopefully one day, and perform them or whatever, you might just decide to create your own song inspired by some of these and use these ideas to lead a band one day where you can, come on, but what are we doing? We're doing something like this, and you can just play the part rather than try to always explain in detail at a blues jam what you're trying to get. Let's say if it's a blues jam, it's like, you just need to play sometimes, right?
That's great. Those like kind of hooks. I almost think of them as hooks, but you're right. If you know those kind of foundational riffs, you can go up on a bandstand and be you
Well,
play that a few times and the band will figure out they'll hear it. They'll know where you're if you're playing it
yeah.
well.
If you play it well, I mean, if you can apply the groove, and it's harder with Slim Harpo, by the way, because you got, I don't want to play Scratch My Back or Raining in My Heart unless the band is familiar with the song because it's such a specific vibe that sure, I could play the lines. That doesn't mean they're going to know it. But with this kind of stuff we're talking about here, you can apply it like, yeah, it's a boogie, for
Yeah.
lack of a better.
Yeah.
And some people go, "What's a boogie?" So that's the challenge you run into is what's the knowledge of the people that you work with. Sometimes, whether it's a jam or a new band, they need to study
Right.
these songs like you did and listen to them. So in this class, man, we're going to go deep. I got a list. I Wish You Would. I got Rockinitis on there. I got Shake Your Hips.
Nice. Nice.
Backdoor Friend, which is a first position. I want to say that one was recorded in the mid '70s, if I remember correctly. Can't think of the album. It just shows a picture of him looking up at down. That's from yours, and it was
Nice.
just a dream.
Nice.
Those are the two that I grabbed that I really want to
Yeah.
talk about,
Those are some good
and
ones.
then a
Yeah.
couple others like Greenville and Lowdown Thing or two. We're just going to listen to. I Ain't Got You. We need to listen to it. It's a classic. It's a hit, and there is in the later version, and in the early. There's a way to play. It's got the whole. It's got a couple of these lines that run throughout, not many, but a few. So we're going to just be all over the map, but it's going to be fun tomorrow. And it's cool to hear about your experience. So before we stop talking about, I want to go back to the recording session for a minute.
Sure.
There's a lot of songs on the release.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of songs. And I'm wondering, like, how many did you get to push into the mix and say, can we do this? Are you into this? Versus him saying, this is what we're doing. Who kind of grabbed those song selections and chose
That's
those?
that's a good question. Yeah, I think yeah, there was a process with that. I think we're getting, collecting the ones and a lot of it was Billy Boy's choices. Some of those tunes like what was wait, you mentioned one of it. What's the other one you said you're going to teach in the class? You said you're going to do
I mentioned two of them. The
looking
two I mentioned are Looking Up It Down
yeah, looking up
and
and down, yeah.
and It Was Just a Dream.
And it was just a dream. Yeah, like those were definitely ones that Billy Boy picked. I mean, I definitely probably insisted, that we did the Key to the Highway,
Right.
on there. Although that was pretty obvious one that Billy Boy would agree with. But I think it was mostly his, tunes that he wanted to do, and maybe we shaved some off of it too. I tried to always, as a producer, you're trying to shape the album to get an interesting variety of songs, styles of songs and types of songs and
Yeah.
tempos, hopefully grooves. I mean,
Yeah.
and like I said, there is a lot of mid-tempo blues on it. So that was kind of one of the challenges to distinguish those tunes. But yeah, Billy Boy was pretty, he's such a historian. He knows all the music. So he kind of knew like what tunes, and some of them I wasn't really familiar with because he did pick some, going back to Arkansas was one that's a old Brunsy tune that I didn't really, it's kind of more ragtimey, and we put some clarinet on that one to give it a little different vibe, but yeah, it was a real process. And the other big part of the process was taking those tunes and then finding the right key, like for Billy Boy to sing it in. So we spent a lot of time really working that out because a lot of times I think, you as a musician, you get thrown into a studio situation. Maybe you got some pros hired for the day. They're just there for that one moment and you got to do it all, just kind of throw it together in a way. But we really got to take some really nice time and like, if I would listen to him sing, I was like, if it didn't seem like it was right, then I would let's try this key. Let's try that, so we really
Yeah.
did a lot of rehearsing for it, which was cool.
It's funny because if you guys own a C and a D harmonica, you can tackle 70% of what he released. He did a lot in G and A. Those were keys that were very, very common for him to record over the years, not just in one particular era of his career. So make sure when you're digging, start with A and G as the keys and thinking of A and G relating to the D and C harp in second position. And you'll be in good shape. There was also some cool stuff in A still, but in first position on that A harp that I came across. And of course, other keys like the key of F comes up and he's on a B flat. It's not that he didn't play in other keys, but I think he gravitated maybe for, like you're talking about, for his singing, his voice towards
Could be. Yeah.
those keys. But what a cool, you're right. An illustrious career that we, as harmonica players, and here's the coolest thing that we haven't really, it's underappreciated. He is underappreciated as music, but when you scope out and you see how he fit into the scene from the early years in the early 50s all the way through, a 70-year long career. I mean, is that right? 70 years now, 60, let's call it 60 at minimum of like recording. And that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there aren't many blues artists that can say that they, or any artist that can say that they were actively out either and or performing and recording both. But it's just cool. And to see who he was rubbing elbows with, man. Like, I'm gonna put this in the link. The discography is my favorite. I like to sometimes nerd out and read about the background stuff. That's where you get
Right.
into understanding how he fit into those other players and why he might have developed some of his isms and style and approach and song choices and why he made those decisions. But
Yeah.
we're celebrating Billy Boy Arnold here for this class tomorrow. If you're just tuning in, you can look at the link that is tagged at the top of the chat. I'll also put it in the comments and video description later. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna
It's
record.
going to be a cool class. I'm glad you're doing this.
Yeah, he was going to be reserved for a class that I had in mind called Unsung Heroes of the Blues Harp, and I was going to include him in that. And then I thought, no, I want to do a focus class on him, and here's why. I didn't share this with you or anybody yet, but when I was cutting my teeth, right, in the early days of playing and performing regularly, like when I was out 6 days a week playing, this would have been like 2006, 5, 6, 7, and I was playing before then in the 90s, but like, I mean, when I was like really hitting it and like starting to like
Right.
get some ground, there's this guy, a good friend of mine, R.D. Jones, and he would always play bass and sing a lot of the tunes in when I would front, as the Ronnie Shellis band. And his favorite song was "I Wish You Would." And so, who knows what the hell I was doing, Eric? Whether I was actually playing the lines. This is a good lesson for all of you. But that song has always been near and dear to me. I love the song, and I just love the groove and all the influence from Bo Diddley. If you don't know it, go listen to "I Wish You Would." Check out. There's more than one version, right? Because he recorded it early, and then he went back in Alligator and recorded it again.
Yeah.
And I
Nice
love
version.
that
Yeah,
later
that
version.
alligator, kind of when he did that album, came back. That was some good stuff. But yeah, Billy Boy's interesting because not only is he a blues man, but he was really there in the sort of foundational days of rock and roll too, hanging out with
So
Bo Diddley and even "Wish You Would" is
yeah,
kind of like a rock and roll, almost more like a rock and roll song than a blues because it's using sort of a sort of bit of a Latin kind of rhythm on it and stuff. It's got that interesting
yeah.
twist.
And he also went to like he's got that, is it the Great Britain recording session? He's got some stuff where you can start to hear like all of a sudden in the 70s, I want to say, in that zone where like you're hearing wah wah pedals and other shit. It's like all this other stuff coming into play. Here's a guy who's seen it and played it all. So
Yeah.
I was thinking of something and it slipped my mind, but that early version is nuts. Of "I Wish You Would" is just like,
Right.
yeah, it's pure rock and roll, and you
Yeah.
can hear all the R&B influence moving into his music and certain songs in his early portion, the first half of his career, and later too. But then it became more like urban and blues, and by the time
Right.
you get to Alligator, it's a little different. But man, some good stuff to
Cool
dig into.
stuff.
I hope some of you can join tomorrow. And Eric, thanks for telling us a little bit about the background with Billy Boy and sharing your
Sure.
experience with the album that you guys cut together and sort of your connection to him. That was really, really
Absolutely. Yeah,
cool.
my pleasure. People should also check out, there's a great book that came out not too long ago called The Blues Dream of Billy Boy Arnold. It's an autobiography written with the help of Kim Field, and it's a really great book. In his own words, you get the whole story of the Chicago blues and unlike a lot of Chicago bluesmen, Billy Boy Arnold was born in Chicago, so his
Yeah.
entire, he saw kind of that whole history of the blues in Chicago in his lifetime. So definitely worth checking out as well.
Yeah,
But most
good
importantly, they
call.
should check out your workshop tomorrow. What time is it at?
Tomorrow's workshop starts at 12 Central, and it's all recorded if you want to sign up and you can't make it, or if you want to become a member on my website at harmonica123.com, you will get access to that class regardless of the tier that you choose. You'll still gain access to the class, whether it's live and or recorded, depending on the tier you choose. But check it out. Go watch the video. I got to remember to link that video that it just popped up on YouTube 2 weeks ago. It's something with the word masterclass in it, like Billy Boy does.
Yeah, yeah.
Masterclass. And it's cool because he performs and he talks, he plays in it. Last thing, he talks about a bunch of the riffs that he's like, he like this one, this is a Sonny Boy one riff. And he can really pull up and recall. And I don't know when this was recorded. Let's say it was recorded 20 years ago or whatever, the actual masterclass he did, but he can recall all these individual. He'll sit there and go like this, and then he'll just play it. Or here's a turnaround that he always does. Here's a riff that you'll hear him bringing in a song with. It's so cool. That could be a whole new class of breaking down the, things that he learned from Sonny Boy One. Like just he was so influenced by it. So good stuff, man. I hope all of you have a great day. And Eric, you especially, sir.
All right, man.
Make it a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
All right. Thank you so much, Ronnie.
All right, guys. And if you're tuning in still, thanks for hanging out with us live. If you're watching as a recording, I hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here.